Welcome to the HOPE Manager Overview. This video will focus on the manager's view of the HOPE changes within Suncoast. HOPE is a CMS regulatory update set to go live on October 1st, 2025. It replaces the existing HIS item set. There are very many similarities between HIS and HOPE, and a few new ones that we are going to quickly highlight. So as we know, it did replace HIS, and within that, it introduced a few additional assessment time points of the HOPE update visit on days 6 through 15, the HOPE update visit 2 on days 16 through 30, and added in a brand new assessment called the symptom follow-up visit that is going to be dependent on how a question or the symptom impact was answered. It's going to look at if a pain or non-pain symptom impact was assessed as a moderate or severe, and if so, there's the expectation that within 2 days after that assessment, that an SFV, a symptom follow-up visit, is completed. This is the questions and how they would be answered by your clinician, and here's a quick calendar of how those timelines are going to hit. Again, if I do an assessment, within 2 days, I have to do that SFV, but it's not always required. So we see in this case, the HUV at a visit was on the 12th. 2 days later, an SFV did not happen because it was not required. The symptom impact did not show a severe or moderate, so the clinician did not need to return. However, in our next window, the HUV2, I see that an SFV was conducted because we know a symptom impact of a severe or moderate did occur on the 25th. To provide some guidance, your clinician will see the to-do tasks that'll have the HOPE do, which is focused on their caseload and their primary team. What was added that is brand new for the managers is that the user group asked that we would have a screen that would show across teams what HOPE was due. So if you are a manager that manages multiple teams, this is a list that can have multiple teams defined. By default, I'm a manager on the HQRP, but if I also work with Ocean View team, I can select that one also. In this view too, you would have the ability to see based on the company. If you wanted to quickly grab everything in the company, that would be another option for you. But I will stick to my 2 teams that I work with. When I define that, it is not going to change until I do search. I can also look for a client specific if I really want to dig into those details. The default dates can obviously be manipulated, and I could look ahead in the future if I want to see what's coming as well. So when I see search, I see that my list of teams has expanded. Now I have both my HQRP and my Ocean View teams. There is the due in column. So that is going to show me how many days are remaining for this clinical assessment or any of these HOPE records to be complete by. So that's going to tie to that due by date. So this is the start of the range. Remember that we have our different ranges. So like HUV1, HUV2, they're starting on different days. And so this is my due in, my days until I have to complete it as the clinician. So in this case, we see that we are a little behind. We have some negative days here where everything was not signed timely. If we want to dig in, we have that ability on the screen too, with a new section in the chevron called details. So if I expand this, let's look at some data. So here is our client, Roman. He has an HUV window that started on 7/23. When I look here, I can see that an SFV assessment was complete and no SFV is required. So from this, I can tell that there was no symptom impact of a severe or moderate, so I have nothing to follow up on. However, if I look at my client Riker, I can see that the symptom assessment has been complete, and I know that an SFV is required. So for Riker, I can see that there is an SFV due. So based on this assessment, I have 2 days to complete that SFB. Another view that we've added into the screen is to be able to have a quick visibility of appointments. So I can see at the time of assessment, a symptom follow-up visit was also created. So I know that the scheduler or my staff member will see that on the 24th, an appointment was made that they can go out and complete that SFB. Since today is the 23rd, it's an appointment in the future, so I can move it out a day if it is more appropriate to see them on the 25th based on the client's wishes. But I have that information. Likewise, if I look ahead, I can see that there's markers for when my HUV window will open. So Riker was only admitted on 7/23. I can see as I look on the future on day 6 of their admission, I can see that I have an appointment for when that window starts. So we can drill into Riker just a little bit. And I see that my HUV1 does start on the 23rd. So as we drill into Riker, we have a little more information. So I can see, again, the start and due. I can extend it so that I can also see when that HUV is coming due. And then based on the start date is when the HUV appointments are set to begin. So here we see a 7/29. This is automatically created by the system, so it's available to assign out to an available clinician on the date that it goes live. Likewise, I can see for my HUV2, I have that 8/8 appointment, which is the start of my range, so on day 16. Again, it's in the future, so if I know that a clinician is going to be available on the 9th to 10th, that it can be pushed out. But there's these markers to see when items are coming due. So again, this is at the fingertips of the manager so that they can look across their team. You would have the ability to also sort by the SFV due date. So I can see that today is the 23rd. Within the next 2 days, these SFVs need to occur to be compliant. I can look ahead in my due in and see how many days I have to complete those clinical assessments for the clients that are across the team. If I need to redirect a clinician, if I don't see that there's an available appointment already assigned for their admission, or maybe they haven't entered the data yet, then I can check with them. Right now, it looks like nothing has been done for Robert, but we have 2 days to complete it. So maybe information is late to be filled in. I can see that with the related forms that there's nothing here. Here's another admission where it looks like we're behind on dates. I can talk to the primary staff person and see if there might be a gap where data has not been completed. So there's just more information at your fingertips. This form or this browser does look very similar to the previous HIS browser, and it looks very similar to the HOPE browser. But again, the functionality is focused on just that clinical assessment data and giving a quick view across teams. All of those HOPE records do. As with our other screens in Suncoast, if there is the desire to add columns, you have the column builder. You could also add in the HOPE submission. So if you're a little curious as to what the status of that document was, you would have that ability to add that here as well. But this is our HOPE Compliance Manager that gives more information. Likewise, the last piece that I'll show you is when there is a document, I have the ability down here to use the eyeball to see all the information that was gathered. I would also have the ability, if I clicked on that HOPE Admission Comprehensive Assessment form, that it would go ahead and take me directly into that client's additional forms. So based on rights, I could review that document, or again, I could go ahead and print it. But it gives a little more flexibility to dig in and see what's happening with this client and with the staff person who's responsible for them. So again, in related forms, we see the client, visit date, form name, form status, if signed, and the staff person who is responsible for it. Thank you for this review of the HOPE Compliance Manager, which is focused for our managers.